Every day holds a story. Let's rewind. This is Today Rewound. They were armed with school books and courage. Their only weapons? Songs and solidarity. Their mission? To face down fire hoses, police dogs, and the most entrenched system of segregation in America. May 2, 1963. Birmingham, Alabama. A day when children decided they would not wait for adults to change their world. The youngest was just 6 years old. The oldest, teenagers on the cusp of adulthood. All of them black. All of them knowing exactly what they were risking. And still, they came. 1,000 strong on that Thursday morning, they emerged from the 16th Street Baptist Church into the spring sunshine. They came in their Sunday best, girls in pressed dresses, boys in crisp white shirts, not to attend school, but to teach America a lesson. This was the Children's Crusade, a strategic gamble that would change the course of the civil rights movement forever. Birmingham in 1963 was not just any segregated city. It was, as Martin Luther King Jr. called it, the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. So violent in its enforcement of Jim Crow laws that locals had given it a nickname, Bombingham. Over 50 unsolved bombings had targeted black homes and churches in the previous 2 decades. Meanwhile, across America, teenagers were twisting to Chubby Checker, and Surfin' USA topped the charts. But in Birmingham, children were preparing for a different kind of revolution. The adult demonstrations had stalled. King himself had been arrested just weeks earlier, writing his famous letter from Birmingham jail after local white clergymen criticized the protests as unwise and untimely. Movement organizers were running out of adult volunteers. Too many feared losing their jobs if they were seen protesting. That is when an audacious idea took hold. James Bevel, a 27-year-old firebrand organizer with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, proposed something radical: use the community's children. Having witnessed the courage of 15-year-old Claudette Colvin, who had refused to give up her bus seat years earlier, Bevel believed young people had untapped revolutionary potential. Not everyone agreed. King himself had deep reservations. "I think I see the children," he said, "and I see them being bit by dogs and washed down the street." But the children were ready. In secret workshops, they trained in nonviolence tactics, practiced what to do when arrested, and used coded language to evade police surveillance. Many packed toothbrushes in their pockets, small symbols of their determination to see this through, even from jail cells. 9-year-old Audrey Faye Hendricks told her mother simply, "I want to go to jail." And so, on May 2nd, they marched. As the young protesters stepped onto the Birmingham streets, singing freedom songs, Police Commissioner Eugene Bull Connor was waiting. The 65-year-old segregationist had built his career on preserving Southern traditions. But even he hesitated briefly at the sight of children. That hesitation did not last long. The orders came. Arrest them all. The first wave of young marchers held hands tightly as they were led away. Some trembled, fighting back tears. Others stood tall, their faces set with determination beyond their years. From the crowd, parents watched in agony and pride as their children were loaded into paddy wagons. "We're doing this for you," one teenage girl called out to her weeping mother. "For all of us." But then came more children, and more. Wave after wave, emptying out of the church. School classrooms across Black Birmingham sat empty that day. 14-year-old Gwendolyn Sanders helped coordinate groups of children. "It was our turn," she later recounted. The adults had tried and were not successful. It was time for the children to lead the way. By mid-afternoon, the city's jail cells overflowed with children. The youngest were separated from their older peers, many sobbing from confusion and fear. They slept on concrete floors and sang freedom songs through the night to keep their spirits up. Some school principals threatened expulsion for those who participated. a threat that only strengthened their resolve. But the most shocking confrontation was yet to come. On the following day, May 3rd, Connor unleashed the full force of Birmingham's police power. When another 1,000 children appeared, he ordered firefighters to open high-pressure water cannons on the young protesters. The blasts could tear bark from trees against children's bodies. They were devastating, knocking them down, rolling them along the pavement like tumbleweeds. Police brought German shepherds, straining at their leashes. Officers swung billy blood, and the cameras captured it all. Charles Moore, a photographer for Life magazine, was there. His telephoto lens brought America face to face with childhood innocence confronting raw hatred. Within days, these images would appear in newspapers and on television screens across America and around the world. A nation accustomed to ignoring racial violence suddenly could not look away. These were not anonymous protesters. These were children who looked just like their own sons and daughters. The photos pierced America's conscience with an immediacy no speech or editorial could match. In the White House, President Kennedy watched the footage with growing alarm. According to aides, he expressed dismay that children had become the frontline soldiers in the struggle for civil rights. One young marcher, Freeman Hrabolski, then 12 years old and later to become a university president, found himself face to face with Connor. As Hrabolski recounted years later, when he and other children were praying, Connor approached and asked them what they wanted. When they responded that they wanted freedom, Connor responded with contempt. Within days, phones were ringing in Birmingham's business district. Customers from across the country threatened boycotts. Department store executives and business leaders began to worry about their city's image. Economic pressure mounted. Within a week, Birmingham's business community was negotiating with civil rights leaders. By May 10th, they reached a partial agreement to begin desegregating the city's stores and to release all the jailed protesters. The victory was real, but fragile. Full integration would take years, not days. The Children's Crusade had accomplished in days what months of adult protest had not. Fred Shuttlesworth, the Birmingham minister who had invited King to the city, said, "The civil rights movement would have been like a bird without wings if it had not been for the children." What is often forgotten is how these children continued to pay the price long after the cameras left. Many returned to segregated schools, where they faced punishment from administrators and threats from white classmates. Some were expelled. Others were disowned by relatives who thought they had brought shame or danger to their families. Police surveillance followed many of them for years. Yet most have no regrets. Janice Wesley Kelsey, who was arrested during the demonstrations, later said, "We knew that if change was going to come, we would have to make it happen." 4 months after the Children's Crusade, tragedy struck. The 16th Street Baptist Church, the launching point of those marches, was bombed by Klan members, killing 4 young girls. The very sanctuary that had been a haven of courage became a site of mourning. The children of Birmingham remind us that history's most powerful movements often come from those with the least power. Their courage helped push through the Civil Rights Act of 1964, outlawing segregation in public accommodations nationwide. Today, those children are grandparents. Some still live in Birmingham, teaching new generations about the days when they helped bend the arc of history. Freeman Hrabolski went on to become president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Washington Booker became a Vietnam veteran and community activist. Janice Wesley Kelsey became an educator. They do not call themselves heroes. They will tell you they were just kids who got tired of waiting for change. But on that spring day in 1963, they showed America that courage has no minimum age requirement, that sometimes the smallest voices speak the most powerful truths, and that children do not just inherit history, they make it. The spirit of the Children's Crusade lives on today. When we see young people marching for climate action, organizing for racial justice, or demanding safety in their schools, we are witnessing the direct legacy of those Birmingham children. The tactics may evolve, but the fundamental truth remains. When young people decide the future cannot wait, The world has no choice but to listen.